Sean likes sad stuff. That's true. Okay, so I would love to do some Q&A.
Since you have the developers here.
Since I got the developers here on the show, we can do some Q&A. There was a question. We can actually start with.
We got what causes the different endings to trigger. Also, you can get back together with your boyfriend.
You can also get back together with your boyfriend, which is pretty terrible. Although I feel like we did some revisions on those, and I feel better about how it goes. When we get back to him now.
Yes,
because you get back together with your boyfriend, but like you set some fucking ground rules,
and you make him buy you a toaster.
Which, I mean, you know, that's something.
Is there an option to have barbecue, and can you be the toaster that puts Darth Vader's toaster on? I didn't know about that kind of toaster. If I had known about that,
are you not familiar with that kind of toaster?
No. If I had known,
crazy.
I've seen ones where they put like Jesus on toast.
It's Jesus toasters. Yeah. Okay. Yes. No, that's true. I have seen all kinds of things, I think, burned into toast. So that is possible.
I didn't know about that when I made the quiz, though.
So that is not in the game. That is not canon. There is no Darth Vader toast in the game.
The birds totally die.
No.
That's amazing. We should have had an ending where the birds just take over the space station and jettison you.
That would have been pretty good. That's true. That is super true.
Oh, yeah, there's the toaster link.
Okay, so there were a couple. Oh shoot, did I not have?
Did you do?
Question here. Here's a thing where I can scroll. No, that's probably not good either. Never mind. So we did have some questions. Kyla had a question, I think, but it was way back.
I think I saw one. How do you get the different?
How do you get different questions? Is there an intent here that the player answer personality quizzes as themselves or roleplay as a given character? That's a good question.
I just kind of see it as, you know, the character's pretty open, but I think like at a certain point, like, well, especially with the how are you going to die question right after your boyfriend admits to cheating on you. Or, I mean, like, I think there's an element of, like, or in a space accident, like, alone or in a space accident, I definitely hint towards you leaning more into the character, but, like, it's definitely meant to you be you, and then, your responses do change depending on your quiz results, and that's how you get the different endings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, as you can see, there are, the only mechanics of the game are choosing those quiz answers, and that is what determines everything, including the endings.
Yeah, and so when we were breaking down the quizzes, we came up with essentially 4 categories based on. We determined what. How did you get rid of if I can actually swim in neutral buoyancy? Sorry. I feel like
that's my favorite thing about the penguin is that, like, the penguin is a flightless bird, and so, like, why are you even trying to get it to fly? But it would be the naturally best flyer in zero gravity. Yeah. The thing is, here's the thing about zero gravity, is that even if you wait, do penguins swim in neutral buoyancy? Like, is it? I guess they do. I guess they do that. I was not thinking about that. My take is that the penguin is so disoriented by the lack of gravity that it just doesn't know what the hell to do. Also, there's no water, right? Like, can't deal with.
Also, it's been launched out of a tube.
Also, it's been launched out of a tube. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Roto. Sorry, Roto. You're right. Did not mean to. I do not mean to disparage penguins.
But you know, we basically broke up the ending down into 4 different categories.
Yes. Yeah, so actually that's the underlying system for the whole game, is that Martzi and I sort of came up with a totally arbitrary well, I mean, it's not based on anything else.
Oh, no.
We just came up with a personality segmentation. So there's 4, well, there's two
dichotomies.
Yeah, 2 axes, 2 personality axes in this game. independent versus prone to teamwork.
Yeah, it's
right?
Team player.
Team player, that's right. Team player versus independent, and idealist versus realist.
And so all the quiz answers have a answer assigned to them for that. And it's extremely arbitrary, and it was like, what element seems the most independent to you?
Yeah, that one, that's the one that's like the most, I don't even know.
I feel like water's very much a team player. Like it kind of just like seeps in everywhere. So yeah, this is not scientifically proven by any means.
But there is, each of the 4 responses to every question has a value in those 2, like those 4 categories, either like strongly independent or strongly team player or strongly idealistic or strongly realistic.
Like the goose that lays the golden egg is like the realistic answer for,
because that's the best one.
You just constantly collecting gold.
Yeah,
out of your goose.
It's just a goose,
and I think
that makes you rich. Like that's the best one, if you're being real about it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Kyla, we'll talk some about Emily is Away. I'm trying to remember the mechanic of that, actually. Anyway, so yeah, so those are the four categories, the 4 personality types, and then all of the branching dialogue is based on which of those, in each quiz, there are 5 questions. At the end of the quiz, we count up how many of each answer you had, and then there are 4 possible quiz results based on those 4 categories. And then all of the conversations in the next part of the game are determined by which of those results you got on your quiz.
Right.
And then the ending to the game is based on
your total cumulative score.
Like how many of each thing you ever picked.
Yeah. So like idealistic independent, which is what we ended up getting the most in, will have the birds fly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scroll up, I saw some questions.
So
during the creation process, how many different aspects of the game get broken up and then come together through testing?
Okay, so all of them, we tested this game extensively. That's an important part of the process.
The problem with the Game Jam game is that it's, especially like a branching narrative, multiple different interactions, like a messaging interaction, quiz interaction, bird launching interaction, done in 48 hours. It was entirely seat of the pants. Yeah,
we got ambitious, and this game was not totally waterfall. Like, we started out, like, we thought we knew what we wanted, and we started to build it, and we made some changes as we went, but those changes were based only on internal testing. We didn't have a build of the game that we could, like, play for other people until
literally the end.
Until the very, very end.
That being said, we got totally burned by our students who were also here at the weekend doing the jam and kept being like, so, did you paper prototype?
Yep.
Did you test your prototypes with, like, playtesting? Like, all the stuff we, like, really hammer home as, like, important game design tool things, and we teach, like, don't ever do this! We went ahead and did all the things we say not to do.
Now, to be fair, we didn't launch the game on that Sunday night.
That's true.
We waited a week, and during that week, we did have a bunch of people play it.
And we added and changed things.
And we made some changes based on that kind of stuff, but not structural changes. Just sort of really more focusing and polishing things.
Yep. And Pommel Horse, you are correct. The staple remover is the independent option.
Correct.
For the office supply world.
That was me. I really liked that. I was proud of that one.
Those things are terrifying. They just
staple removers?
Oh yeah.
I guess so. They look kind of vicious. I enjoy them. I like clicking them.
Yeah.
I feel like that's good. Okay, so Emily is away. What? I'm trying to remember what the mechanic looked like in that game.
I haven't played it.
Holy cow. Kyla, help me out.
It's like aim based, right?
Yeah. The aesthetic is very, very close to the sort of old school Instant Messenger. And one of the things that it does that we would have done if we had the time to get to it is playing around with like font and color of different characters,
style.
like Homestuck stuff. Yeah. Because that kind of thing is how did you choose the conversation option though? Was it just clicked? Did you just like you clicked a thing and then you typed? I remember the typing and the typing is one of so
you just fake type?
Yeah, you fake type.
I love that.
But I don't remember how you actually choose the option ahead of time. Maybe you just click an option and then you fake type. The fake typing is very cool, and it's in this extremely nostalgic aesthetic.
Yeah. Can't believe AIM's gone.
I know, it's really crazy. It's really sad. Sometimes it typed a different thing.
Ooh, that's a good psychological.
That's a really good. Yeah, that's really good.
My favorite in Cosmonet is when you start to type something, when you hit reply and your boyfriend just keeps messaging you, and you're like, ah!
Yeah, it was really cool.
Because you built that whole system.
Yeah, and Martzi wrote out all of the scripts, and then I translated them into the sort of like code to actually have them animate. And so I got to add in sort of like how does the pacing work and that kind of thing, and it was so much fun to sort of this is one of my favorite things about storytelling, like any kind of storytelling, is this like set up a pattern that people can expect and understand sort of like what that pattern is going to be, and then meaningfully break the pattern at some point. And so there's some really cool moments when you're talking with your boyfriend where he just like steamrolls you. That I really enjoyed sort of being able to do.
And I think that's what's interesting. Like, I don't know Emily is away, but I can see those mechanics that are being discussed. And I think like in comparison, like we specifically chose the quizzes to pull away from what is from a direct control of a narrative or a character. And what with like Emily is away, that's a super intimate personal thing, because you get to see like a person's internal thoughts. And even if you're not totally choosing the narrative, like it's very much like a So I think like, ours is a bit more removed as opposed to intimate.
But the sort of like the chat interface of it, for me, I mean, it was definitely inspired by Emily is Away, and the fact that like I had played that, and even if I didn't remember all of the details of it, the aesthetic of it, and the sort of interaction of chatting with somebody. And I also thought a lot about Beglitched, honestly, while I was making this, because it's not as sort of directly applicable, but I thought a lot about the way that different characters express themselves through text chat in conversation in that game.
And you took a pass on the writing and actually gave the characters a bit more of a like independent voice.
Yeah, after we finished the jam, sort of in that following week, like that was a thing that I really wanted to do. And I'm not as familiar with Homestuck, but I guess it's a very Homestucky kind of a thing. It's something that I've been interested in since high school, since like I was actually using AIM with my friends. The like differentiating voices and personalities through
font, color, and typing style. And
and just like, well, not word choice. I guess word choice is every piece of writing does that, but like style, like and stylization, like use of capital letters and punctuation and that kind of thing.
It was judged. No, it wasn't judged. There was judging.
There was judging
at the game jam, and we didn't bring ours down.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite done.
Yeah.
It was like working, but it wasn't like, I think we're also felt, I don't know, like it's like a bunch of like a student work. And I would have been happy to show the students. I just like.
Well, and we would have gotten blown out of the water by some of them.
True.
Like,
a lot of them.
There were some really good games that got produced during the jam.
Also, like in that jam though, like, and one thing that's hard about quiet games, narrative games, is that they're just not fun to play in a packed room.
Yeah.
And
this is, I mean, the other thing about this
can't
game
lose if you don't try.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. I certainly didn't get into the jam for the judging.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't my my motivation for it. But I mean, that's the other thing, is this game is single player and like pretty long for a jam game. Like,
yeah, no, you can't let the students know they're smart, and it's deeply true.
Oh yeah, no, that's very true.
Know.
That's an illusion that we try to
they know
maintain.
in my class. They don't know in Sean's.
True. God. So I do want to address a question that I got on Monday, which was about the sort of theming of the game and the world building of it.
Yeah.
And I think the question was like, why did we choose a Russian influence or a Russian sort of theme to the narrative?
Yeah, we're actually just Russian hackers.
Yeah. Yep. This is all a decoy. This is an elaborate phishing scam that I've been operating for like 6 years now. I mean, Jesus.
Sorry, that derailed. We're on watch list now. We have put ourselves on a watch list.
Definitely. Yeah, and so we were actually talking about this afterwards, and there are a number of reasons, but the one that like really jumped out for me, like, well, so I don't know, it's one of those things that because it was a jam game, it's not that
grab and eat.
Yeah,
it's like those
exactly.
like the super shopper ones. You're just like trying to throw things in the cart and get to the end. That's what I feel like a game jam's like. And with the first thing we did, I was like, one of the things. I love birds, so I was like, Sean, we need birds in our game. And we came up with transmissions because the theme was transmission, so we came up with space. Yeah, which is super original.
Yeah, exactly. It's very original.
When I was Googling, when I first doing that like mad Wikipedia research, quick research this. A lot of the tests that have been conducted with birds in space were done by the Russians, and then there's also that like. Their whole they launched a lot of animals into space, the most famous being all the dogs, which by the way, the stories behind the dogs are amazing.
No, they're wild.
One dog that ran away from the testing facility and they took a stray in like the next day. Like, someone needs to make an animated movie about that stat.
Yeah, no, like a highly trained dog that somehow escaped. Like, that's the part I want. They trained him too well. Escaped, and so they just picked up a stray. And the mission was a success. Like, it was great. Into space. Also, if anybody lives in Los Angeles, visit the Museum of Jurassic Technology. Do you know if they still have that up?
I believe it's still there.
They have an exhibit on the second floor that is just dedicated to all of the Russian space dogs, and it's pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing. But so what I think that was like, we had just initially stumbled into that world, and then I think we kind of ran with it. I was excited about the art possibilities because I love that era and that style of art. It's so strong and graphically like beautiful and provocative, and the color palette's really interesting. I pulled up a lot of like the imagery to get like inspired.
Yeah. No, and did a fantastic job. I mean, all of the illustrations for this game like really reflect that.
I think the desktop background might be my favorite.
Oh, that's so good. And I was really intrigued by the narrative possibilities. One of the things that I think is really interesting about this game is that, we started with this sort of concept and mechanic where you're in space and you're chatting with your friends and you're taking online quizzes. So things that are like extremely commonplace for us today, in like this year, and have been for the last decade, but you know, won't necessarily for the next 100 years. Like to me,
it's contemporary.
It feels very contemporary. It feels like a contemporary mood and technology, but you're sort of casually doing this stuff in space suggests that it's just a radically different timeline.
Yeah.
And so the idea that this is a game that takes place on a different timeline, and it's not about that different timeline, but in order for it to sort of make narrative sense, we need to cast it as that.
Yeah.
It needs to be sort of like a world that is like our world but not our world. And the idea of Russians winning the space race and conducting science experiments in space on instant messenger is, like, to me, that just seemed like an easy get. Like, that sort of says that this is a world that is not the world that you know, but it's kind of like it.
Sorry,
yeah, no,
if we had more time, I would have loved to do some world building pop-up ads. That would have been 100% amazing. It's a very different timeline with the pop-up ads.
With no, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, so if you followed my Twitter, then you maybe saw some of the early versions of this, where
it was Facebook.
I just took a screenshot of Facebook in order to have a window to like put the personality quizzes in. And I was so excited about the possibility of like we could put our own little ads and things, and we didn't have the time to get there. But
baby version of that with one of the endings.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh Jesus, can I pull that up? I wonder if I can just pull that up.
I think it's also Dropbox was great.
Dropbox is great
for rapid game development. I was pretty happy with how quickly that went. Dropbox is great.
It made it really easy. Also, having one programmer is great.
You're welcome, Sean.
You don't have to deal with any of that nonsense. No, not there. It's here.
Is the Dropbox is the professional version control system? Yep. we're professionals here.
What was it? Global Game Jam.
I suddenly realized you can see the chicken in the shot.
Oh yeah, that's Martzi's.
I have a chicken collection.
Martzi likes birds.
I do, and I saw someone saying, "Why did you launch birds into jettison them into space if you like birds?" But
because that was not the first ending. That is not the main.
Oh,
ending.
good. Pull it up.
Okay, hold on. I gotta. Okay. No, I broke everything. Everything's broken.
Yay.
Well, shoot. Okay, hold on. Here we go. We're gonna take a second and actually do this.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. It's really good. I like it a lot. Oh, this will be easier.
You can have a bad ending. Yeah, exactly. Teamwork is a bad personality type. Sorry. Oh, look at it. Oh, we gotta make it bigger though.
There we go.
All right.
So the Soviet times. So in one of the endings, the birds do not fly, but you refuse to accept defeat and propose a propaganda campaign centered around heroic space birds.
Yeah.
And the sort of, you know, the government agrees that this would be a morale boost. And so the game ends with this newspaper where you can see the heroic birds. And we also got these these side stories.
Yeah. But I suddenly realized bird mitzvah. Mitzvah is also just like a good act, right? So like our bar and bot mitzvah joke is also just
yeah, no, that's
right?
I think that's true.
I think that's true.
I don't know enough Yiddish to really know, but that, yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right.
Anyways, I was very happy to draw the birds with medals on that. that was
yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's...
Thank you for showing that. I was happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, it was very good.
We do need to make the real Cosmonet quiz about which space bird are you.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We will have to put that up.
Do you have a favorite bird?
Not on hand.
Wow. It's like you don't even like our game.
I mean, it's probably Arena.
Yeah, that's fair. I like Bogadasha, so.
Yeah, Bogadasha is.
But they're all great. You can't pick between your children.
Yeah, that's fair.
Unless you launch them all into space. But you've picked none.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, just for a couple minutes, and then you want to play Grotto?
I want to play Grotto.
I really want to play Grotto. So we'll come back in just a second and do that.
Woo!
And tell you what that is.
Yay!